You are watching Bengals Breakdown by Chat Sports, and I am your host, Stone Shields. Coming up on today's show, it's going to be exclusively about Tee Higgins. Really, news and rumors surrounding Tee Higgins have never really been hotter than they are right now, especially after Joe Burrow's comments on Monday. And then he doubled down on those comments at his press conference yesterday on Wednesday as well. There's some more news surrounding Tee Higgins and his representation that we will get to on today's show as well. So again, an exclusive Tee Higgins episode here on a Thursday evening edition of Bengals Breakdown. But before we dive into that, I want to remind everybody to hit that sub button if you have not done so already. Our goal here is to beat December of 2023. Obviously, I was not the host of Bengals Breakdown in December of 2023, but they had a really good month in December of 2023. So we're trying to beat that number. Currently I have 270 subs here through about just under 2 weeks here in the month. Still need over 300 to beat the mark from last year. So help us out. Hit that sub button. All things Bengals coming your way here on Bengals Breakdown. Constant coverage, news, rumors. We'll talk draft in the future as well. So don't miss out on any of that. Hit that sub button, youtube.com/Bengals TV. All right, so here's kind of what's going on with Tee Higgins. Obviously, Higgins is playing under the franchise tag here in 2024. And I thought the way he handled the offseason really was tremendous in terms of how professional his approach was to this offseason. Did, of course, request a trade. No way the Bengals were going to trade him with the ability to, of course, tag him. They tagged him. He obviously wasn't happy about it, but once he came to the conclusion that a long-term deal was not going to get worked out, he said, all right, that's fine. I'm going to put on my helmet. I'm going to put on my shoulder pads. I'm going to go out there and get to work. And that's exactly what he did during training camp. Really tip your hat. I tip my hat to Tee Higgins for what he did and how he handled things this offseason. Many assumed that this would be his last season in Cincinnati here in 2024. I personally still believe it will be. Hopefully it's not. But we'll get into that a little bit later on in today's show. But again, Joe Burrow, Bengals quarterback, has really gone to bat for Tee Higgins. He remains adamant that he wants him around in the long term, and he also remains confident that Tee Higgins will be around in the long term. Let's backtrack a little bit and bring back the comments that Burrow made on Monday after the Bengals beat the Dallas Cowboys on Monday Night Football. Here's what Burrow said. We don't know, but those discussions are ongoing, and I'm confident that I think we're going to be able to do what it takes to bring T back. I know that I'm going to do what it takes to get him back, and so is he. We've had those talks. Those are going to be off-season discussions, but we're excited about that opportunity. I expect T to be back. I think that's the sentiment in the locker room. We all want T back. We know what kind of player he is. We know what kind of person he is. He's what being a Bengal is all about. So like you said, we'll see. I think we should have a good opportunity. And this is him doubling down on those comments during his press conference on Wednesday. They asked him if T was a need, and that first sentence there was his response. Very short, sweet, to the point. He was adamant. He said, T is a need. Yes. And then they asked him, how would you feel if the front office didn't come to a long-term agreement with Tee Higgins? Another short, sweet answer to the point from Burrow. He said, I'd be very disappointed in that. And then later on, he went on to say, he's very important. It's not just even his production, it's his presence. It's how he comes to work every day, how the defenses have to play us when he's out there. He plays such a big part in what we do here and has for 5 years now. I don't think you can quite put a value on that. Leads us to the pinned comment of today's video. Will Tee Higgins come to a long-term agreement with the Cincinnati Bengals? Got my fingers crossed personally. We'll see. This is going to continue to develop. Once the season ends, it's going to probably be a saga again, kind of similar to what we got with Jamar Chase last year. Hopefully it works out. I'm still not confident it will, but let me know at the pinned comment of today's video. That ad probably going to come here on YouTube. That's fine. Take advantage of it. Get down to the pinned comment and let me know what you guys think. All right, Kelsey Conway put this out on Twitter, and this certainly is very significant as well. She put this out yesterday afternoon. Sources had told her that Tee Higgins and his agent, David Mulugheta, have parted ways. no longer working together. Higgins is currently playing on the franchise tag, obviously, and will be seeking a long-term deal in the offseason. And this certainly is very, very noteworthy because David Mulugheta has had some issues with the Cincinnati Bengals through his time being an agent in the NFL. Let's get to what Kelsey Conway put. She has a great piece up. Kelsey, of course, writes for the Inquirer, and this was a part of her story that she wrote. It appears things have changed with Higgins' future in Cincinnati now that he's not working with Mulugheta. This doesn't mean it will happen, though. The Bengals still have to make Chase the highest paid wide receiver this offseason, and it's unclear if they want Higgins back or if they would rather use their money to fix other problems. Now, it's very important to point out that the Cincinnati Bengals and David Mulugheta have never come to a long-term deal as it relates to one of Mulugheta's clients. And certainly the Bengals were butting heads with Mulugheta this past offseason. Not exactly sure. I don't know too much about David Mulugheta, how he is as a person, right? Now, the Bengals, of course, have been known to be a cheap organization, but I think it speaks volumes that they have never had anyone in their history of their franchise be a long-term deal kind of guy with David Mulugheta being their representative as their agent. He also represents Jesse Bates III, and that got really messy when Bates was trying to get more money here in Cincinnati. Ultimately, he leaves and goes to Atlanta as well. So I think it is very noteworthy that Higgins decided to move on from his agent. It also is kind of ironic that maybe it didn't take place this recently, but the fact that it becomes public after Burrow's comments is certainly very noteworthy. Again, it's all going to come down to whether or not T truly wants to stay in Cincinnati or not, but I think it is very noteworthy that he and his agent have parted ways, and I think it's fair to say that that is probably a sign that he would like to stay in Cincinnati and get things done a little bit more differently, because clearly Mulugheta and the Bengals are never on the same page. We'll continue with our Higgins talk here in a moment, but first, want to give a shout-out to our friends over at PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 200 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. You can now win up to 200 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. PrizePicks is the best way to get action on sports in over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. PrizePicks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, so your lineups stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. If your player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, PrizePicks keeps your lineup live. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action. Join over 10 million users and sign up today. They also invented the Flex Plays, what we put together here at Chat Sports for our Flex Play slate here in the coming days. Patrick Mahomes, you got a freebie there. Just needs more than a half a passing yard. Make sure you guys get that in all your flex play slates for the weekend. Also going with the more than on Jaden Daniels pass yards and Tyreek Hill receiving yards as well. Of course, working with Tua and the Miami Dolphins there in Miami. Make your holidays bigger and brighter with PrizePicks, the best place to get real money action while betting on your favorite sports. Join now because this holiday season, PrizePicks is giving away 2 free picks in December, and they're giving away $30+ million in rewards during Picksmas. So download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app today. Use code CLNS. Get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. It's PrizePicks. Run your game. All right, kind of want to compare here Ja'Marr Chase and Tee Higgins because it really is amazing that you have both of them out on the same football field, and it's even more amazing in a bad sense, of course, that your record is what it is with both of these guys out there with Joe Burrow. Keep in mind, you got to understand with these numbers that Tee Higgins has missed some time here in 2024 with injuries. Jamar's been out there for all the games. Obviously, his numbers are a lot better. But I do feel like sometimes people in Cincinnati, I really hope it isn't that way now, but going into the season, especially with kind of where Ja'Marr was and kind of the poutiness that Ja'Marr showed or what have you, there was a lot of people in this town that thought Tee Higgins should be the guy getting paid and not Jamar Chase. Now, if you thought that, I would really hope you changed your mind. It was silly for you ever to think that in the first place. However, I digress. Tee Higgins, regardless, is still an unbelievable receiver in this league. And if he were to go elsewhere, he would be a number one receiver on a professional football team. He is just that good out there and is just that big of a difference maker and has the ability to do so many things when it comes to stretching the field. And I do think he's a little bit more physical at the catch point than people give him credit for. But there's a real possibility that you're going to have to pick between one of these two guys. My opinion, it is very obvious on who to pick, and that's no disrespect at all to Tee Higgins. I am a big Tee Higgins fan. I love Tee Higgins. We all do here in Cincinnati. If you have to pick one, it's pretty obvious to me which one that is. But a lot of you guys love T, and some of you guys think that he should be the guy sticking around. So let me know in the comment section. Pick a wide receiver. If you had to pick one, type 1 for Jamar Chase or 5 for Tee Higgins down in the comment section and sound off for us. Do want to talk about Tee Higgins' injury history here a little bit on today's show. Couple of different things about Tee Higgins' injury history. I think people that say, oh, he's definitely going to leave are like, oh, he gets hurt all the time. And my response to that would be, well, not really. His rookie year, played all 16 games, 21 when he went to the Super Bowl, only missed 2 games with the shoulder and was there throughout the stretch run there at the end and the playoffs. And then 22, he played in all the games as well when he went to the AFC Championship game. So the first 3 years of his career, he's out there. Obviously, the past 2 years haven't exactly worked out that way. 2023 missed 5 games. Has missed 5 games so far here in 2024. Did have the rib a little bit in 2023, but for the most part, this is soft tissue stuff. So I do think it is fair to be concerned about Tee Higgins. Definitely has not been as healthy as Jamar Chase throughout his career, right? But to sit there and say that he's hurt all the time, let's not forget about the first 3 years of his career. If Tee Higgins were not to come back, you're looking at guys like obviously Yoshi to step up, or 2 guys like Jermaine Burton and Charlie Jones, because you'll probably take a receiver in the draft, but you haven't really had a receiver that has been a big impact as a rookie, besides, of course, Jamar Chase and Tee Higgins. Burton, this year hasn't worked out for Jermaine Burton. Hopefully year 2 is a little bit better. Again, if Tee Higgins wouldn't have been able to come back from this injury, we would know a little bit more about Jermaine Burton, but obviously there's some off-the-field stuff that has been really concerning for you. Charlie Jones has also really struggled at staying on the football field. Now that guy, I think it's more safe to say, has more of an injury issue than Tee Higgins does. Got hurt last year, and this groin has just lingered seemingly all season long with Charlie Jones, and really his job with Cincinnati at this point in his career is just as a returner. So we haven't really seen what he can do as a receiver. But if you're going to lose Tee Higgins, you're going to have to need Charlie Jones and Jermaine Burton to really step up and help fill that void if, in fact, this is Higgins' last year in Cincinnati. Before we get out of here, make sure you guys give me a follow over on Twitter at StoneShields_. All of our Bengals breakdown content will be posted to my Twitter page. Trying to get to 500 followers here by the end of the month to kind of ring in the new year, having at least 500. So we got a ways to go, but give me a follow over on Twitter at StoneShields_.